Okay, so we thought we'd start off with, an introduction icebreaker and then slides outlining what our purpose is. Before they come to the session, we thought it might be a good idea to do a survey of what are their preconceptions or thoughts on engineering, or we could have that conversation as a group at the beginning. So, what do they think of engineering? Maybe what are barriers to doing it? We could do this in a think, pair, share format or as a group discussion.
So either survey ahead of time and or
Correct.
discussion.
And I would probably imagine on the slides, a few slides saying kind of who the ETF is, but also the case we're making for why engineering is important and how it kind of ties together math and science. That portion was in the optional, but I think it'd be nice to have.
Who is ETF? What was the second thing?
What's the case for engineering? Like why engineering? Why are we coming to them to discuss engineering in the context of a high school classroom? So we anticipate that would take about 20 minutes. Okay. The next phase is having the participants go through an actual full engineering project that touches on all 4 phases. And the project needs to be small enough where they can do multiple iterations and improve it, collect data. And I think we decided the project is going to be the Alka-Seltzer rockets. I think we need to spend more time thinking about how that's going to be facilitated. So what are the breaks going to be to push them forward, or make sure, just make sure everybody's moving the right direction, and that the hour and 40 minutes that we allotted for it are kind of used in an efficient way. Okay, part 3 is having them reflect on the process they just did by identifying the steps they took to solve the process. And this could be done in small groups and then sharing out. Our initial thought was to have them reflect on the process and maybe try to organize the steps they took into sections in a process, but we decided that we just leave it to them thinking about the steps they took, so that it's not so that we don't have them create their own process and then come back and say, oh, our process is better, here's our process. So just trying to document some of our thinking too. After they list their steps and share out in some format, then we were going to have them do a reflection on how is the engineering project they just did, and thinking about the steps, changing their perception of what engineering is in high school classrooms and how it could be useful. And this would need to be done in a way that the presenter can read the feedback during lunch, which is next. So we anticipated 40 minutes for this section.
Okay. 40 minutes?
Yes. Okay. So then while they eat lunch, the presenter should read through their responses and thinking about what's to come, plan ways to go back and say either we're going to address some of your questions or discuss them briefly after lunch, or as they get addressed, refer to them, but some way of going back to address the needs and concerns and thoughts of the presenters or of the participants. Okay, so after lunch, we have 20 minutes allotted to do 2 things: to share our planaria or our engineering design process diagram to have them compare how the steps they came up with fit into the diagram that we've created. They could discuss differences, they could discuss parts we left out or things that we've added that they didn't think of. But one major thing that we want to stress is we went through the same process they did. We just spent 2 years doing it. So thinking about what is engineering, doing projects, and iteratively coming up with what we thought was a strong representation of the engineering design process. So we're not saying that ours is better, it's just it's been iterated more. The second part of this section is showing them we call it the mother rubric. It's the rubric that assesses the portions of the engineering design process. And we're doing that to show them what proficiency would look like in each of the portions or phases of the engineering design process.
Okay, so show just proficiency column?
We didn't specify that.
Okay, show...
We said the rubric.
So the whole rubric?
That needs to be fleshed out. What part of the rubric we show. Okay, so 20 minutes.
20 minutes for the whole thing.
Yes, to show the planaria and to show the rubric. Okay. The next section, the purpose is then to show them to walk them through the windmill project in some form and show them how the windmill project has the different phases that are in the planaria.
Which I think they're calling the diamond diagram.
Okay. And to also then take some student work from the windmill project and show them how that fits in the rubric as far as where the kids are in different levels of proficiency.
Is the mother rubric or
the mother,
or a windmill version of the rubric?
Not clear. I thought it was the mother rubric, but I'm not sure. I think we want it to be the rubric that we just showed them that goes along with the diamond planaria. Okay. So that's kind of part one of this section. The second part is then to have them go through the 4 discipline projects and do the same thing but in smaller groups. So in a perfect world, we would have a website that has the projects plus student work laid out in some format, and they could then take the planaria and answer some questions about that project and how well it fits with the planaria, plus look at student work to say where those kids are in terms of proficiency.
So look at how the project aligns with the diamond.
Yes.
And how student work fits into the rubric.
Yes. As an optional extension, this is in both parts 1 and part 2. There could be some looking at the next generation science standards and Common Core standards. to see how the windmill touched upon those when we model it, and then to have them look at how their projects touch on those standards. Okay, the next section is then to have them either create their own project, or I guess we call it engineerize an existing activity or lab or content that they deliver in their own class, and to
Couldn't that also be taking one of our projects,
put
taking an
it
existing
in their own
engineering
context?
Yes.
Absolutely. And we said we'd come up with a list of kind of common project topic. Well, you called it a problem list, I think, that matches different topics in each section. So if they can't think of anything, they have something to work from. And we allocated 45 minutes for this.
Did we make it down?
Yes. The previous session, I didn't give you time. We set 90 minutes for that.
That's
for both, showing them the windmill project and the student work, and then having them go through one of the other content-specific projects. Okay. The last portion is kind of recapping what we've done, so having them share out the progress they've made on projects. So when they made it their own, kind of having them report out in some format. Giving them a chance to ask any lingering questions. And then doing another a written reflection, and the focus question was, is implementing engineering in your classroom, does it seem more feasible? Why not? What else do you need to help you implement this in your classroom, and what obstacles do you foresee in implementing this in your classroom?
why or why not? And then what was that?
So is implement as feasible? Why or why not? Or do you see it as being more feasible? What more do you need to implement this in your classroom, and what obstacles do you see that might prevent you from implementing this? And then, the last evaluation or whatever we're going to have them do at the end to evaluate the workshop.
The PD eval, this is the survey?
It's not clear to me if that's going to be the same as like the pre-survey, but yes, whatever I don't know if it would just be of the workshop, or this is where we're trying to show their growth. That's something we also should probably flesh out. And we said 30 to 45 minutes for the kind of wrap up. When they do the part where they are just creating their own project, we want to make sure we give them the generic planning template. I think that's it. I'm not just the two orange stickers about the teacher self-assessment of teaching engineering and continuum of teacher ability readiness. I think that's coming up in like a pre and post. So the survey we have them do before and the post evaluation, but I don't know. I don't remember what we said. But otherwise, that's it.